So Jakobi Meyers has been a hot button issue throughout Raider Nation throughout the whole season. After the Raiders had Jakobi Meyers and Colton Miller, they're kind of twisting in the wind in the last year of their deal with no guaranteed money. You know, it was thought that the Raiders were thinking about moving on from both of those players. The Raiders went out and signed Colton Miller earlier this season, before the season, got him right, got him short up. And it was thought that Jakobi Meyers would have been the next to be taken care of, but alas, he was not. Now, when you look at some of the reasons to why Jakobi Meyers has not been signed, you got to kind of look back to the draft, right? The Raiders invested heavily in a wide receiver position in the draft. They drafted Dante Thornton, and they also drafted number 2, Jack Besh. And Jack Besh is a player who has a very, very similar skill set to Jakobi Meyers. Jakobi Meyers had demanded a trade. He was not acquiesced on that, and he had to kind of pretty much play out the season, right? Now, Jakobi Meyers has not had the kind of season that he had last year. Last year, Jakobi Meyers had a career year. A career year, man. I mean, he didn't even drop a pass last year. He had over 1,000 yards, and he really was looking to kind of carve himself out as one of the premier receivers in this league if he could have followed up that effort. It is not looking like he is this year, and rightfully so. Now, Jakobi Meyers is in a situation where he has no guaranteed money, he has no assurances, and it shows in his play. He hasn't played as well this year. I noticed in the blocking game, he hasn't blocked as well, and that's one of the hallmarks of Jakobi Meyers' game. And it is looking like Jakobi Meyers wanted out, and it's looking like now the Raiders are starting to soften their stance. And with the trade deadline fastly approaching, is looming November the 4th, it looks like the Raiders might be moving on from Jakobi Meyers. It is looking that way. Like, the brass and Pete Carroll and John Spytek would not give him a new deal, and it's trending towards that way. Now, in a report from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, he had some trade-related nuggets. And there may be a new development on the Meyers front. And I quote, "Teams I have spoken to believe that the Raiders are open to trading wide receiver Jakobi Meyers, but are not actively trying to move him," Fowler wrote. "The sense is that the Raiders would prefer to play out the season before making major determinations about the roster, but Meyers requested a trade in the preseason, so a potential deal feels like it's on the table." While Jeremy Fowler is making it sound unlikely that the Raiders are going to move, I'm getting reports from the great and powerful Ricky Scoops, who said today it sounded like the hashtag Raiders and Jakobi Meyers will be traded out of town soon. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you something. Jeremy Fowler is Jeremy Fowler, but let me tell you something. Pretty Ricky, a.k.a. Ricky Scoops, that joker has not missed all season. He hasn't missed. And today, I'm hearing that Jakobi Meyers was at Raiders practice. He was dressed, but he was not dressed to practice, and he did not practice. So to me, that is a sign that he is on the table and is a deal being discussed about Jakobi Meyers to be moved out of town. There are no definites right now, but this is what I am hearing. Now, when you talk about Jakobi Meyers and moving him, I want to know your thoughts, guys, in the comments. What do you think is fair compensation for Jakobi Meyers, right? Because the best case scenario for the Raiders is that there's kind of almost like a bidding war for a trade for Jakobi Meyers, because there are some wide receiver needy teams out there, right? Like, you have a situation that makes the most sense, right? And the situation that makes the most sense for Jakobi Meyers, just from a fit perspective, is the New England Patriots. I mean, Josh McDaniels brought him to Las Vegas, for God's sakes, right? And the New England Patriots are looking for another wide receiver. They need another wide receiver. Stephon Diggs is just starting to get cooking, but they have Mac Hollins out there. Now, we all know we had Mac Hollins, right? He has 9 catches for 70 yards in 6 games, man. And Jakobi Meyers, if you look at it, when you talk about Kendrick Bourne and any of the other guys that are playing for the New England Patriots, Jakobi Meyers has more yards than anybody else on that team besides Stephon Diggs. Now, listen, Mac Hollins is a great blocker, but to have a player such as Jakobi Meyers be able to go over the middle and run some of the routes that he runs for a kid like Drake May, that would be, phenomenal for Drake May. Nothing's better for a young quarterback than a wide receiver that is not scared to go over the middle, a wide receiver that is not scared to block, and a wide receiver that is sure-handed. Now, it changes everything for them. But there's another team that might be even more needy for the services of Jakobi Meyers, and that is the New York Giants. Now, with Malik Neighbors going down, the New York Giants could be in the market for Jakobi Meyers. He is a guy that upgrades their wide receiver room and any wide receiver room in this league immediately. And also, you have another team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are rumored to be in the Jakobi Meyers business to pair him with DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers. And listen, a pretty good situation there in Pittsburgh, a pretty good team that is headed to a playoff trajectory with the Baltimore Ravens not playing well, with the Cincinnati Bengals not playing well. It is looking like the Cleveland Browns kind of on the brink. It is looking like the Pittsburgh Steelers might run away with that division and try to make a run for a Super Bowl. So, guys, what do you think would be fair compensation for a player that you have to pay right now? So Jakobi gets out of town. I think the most you can get for Jakobi Meyers is a third. And that would be the best case and a great scenario for the Raiders, right? I think that the Raiders should move Jakobi. It makes sense. Why keep the bird rights to a player that you have shown, at every turn that you don't want to sign, right? You drafted players to play his position. You didn't sign him when you were negotiating, and you're willing to let him play out a deal on your team while he's disgruntled. I just think that it's the best case scenario for the Raiders, is the best case scenario for Jakobi Meyers. The Raiders can get some draft compensation, and they can also feature some of those young draft picks that they picked, like Jack Bech and Dante Thornton. And I'm going to be honest with you, Jack Bech is a guy that was drafted in the second round, and I think the Raiders need to get total clarification on what kind of player Jack Bech is, whether they got it right with Jack Bech, kind of to validate this draft class. Now, I know draft class are judged probably every 3 years, but it would be nice to know that they got a proper return on Jack Bech kind of sooner rather than later. So, guys, do me a favor. In the comments, tell me what you think. Do you think we should move Jakobi Meyers? Do you think it's possible? And do you think that it's a way that the Raiders should keep him and work a deal out with him? I frankly feel like it's time to move on and let the young kids cook. And I also feel like Jakobi Meyers hasn't exactly been, the kind of blocker that he was last year. It seems like he's making business decisions as well. He should. And I think he needs that peace of mind. And I think that, some of those hard feelings might not go away. And I think it's time to turn the page on this situation and for the Raiders to be proactive instead of reactive. But guys, do me a favor. Tell me what you think about this, whether you like the video, whether you hate the video, whatever. Whatever your reaction, leave it in the comments. Hit those thumbs up. Share this thing out to all social media. And hit that subscribe button. I'm your man, Wasted Talent, and I am out.